So hello, I'm Pauline Sam and I'm a psychiatrist at the FACT team, and I did a qualitative study of meaning in life in people with a personality disorder and before and after psychotherapy. And, let's see. Yeah. No.
È stato bello non fare l'amore. In effetti mi ero scordato che significa volere bene. Me l'ero scordato. Ero destinato alla sensibilità. Ero destinato a diventare uno scrittore. Ero destinato a diventare Geppi Gambardella.
Auguri Auguri Roma!
Questa è la mia vita, non è niente.
Io ho scritto un solo romanzo 40 anni fa che non si trova neppure nelle librerie.
Ma che cazzo dici? Che era un capolavoro assoluto l'apparato umano.
Sai che faccio delle foto? A me stessa. Vuoi vederle?
Certo. La più consistente scoperta che ho fatto pochi giorni dopo aver compiuto 65 anni è che non posso più perdere tempo a fare cose che non mi va di fare.
Sei cambiato. Stai sempre a pensare. Com'è il minestrone Geppino?
Ma tu come mi chiamate Geppino? Nessuno mi chiamava più così da secoli. Sento vecchio.
Giovane non sei.
Insegnerò ad essere felice come non sei stato mai. Ti ruberò.
Ho una mezza idea di riprendere a scrivere.
Ma questa è una grande notizia, cioè.
Riuscirò.
So this was La Grande Bellezza from Paolo Sorrentino, and it's also, for me, it's about meaning in life. Jeff Gambardella is 65 and he's looking for purpose in life. He's trying to connect to people, which he didn't do for the first part of his life. And is also looking for how to matter in life, but also about transcendence. It's about beauty. It's a very beautiful movie with beautiful music and beautiful scenes. So I would recommend to watch the movie. And for me, this is a nice introduction to my study. We studied what differences and similarities are there in the aspects of meaning in life in people with a personality disorder before and after treatments in comparison to a healthy control group. And we asked 5 open questions, and I did a qualitative inductive research. So I first just looked at the answers, what kind of themes emerged from that, and then I tried to see if I could make it more compact, and then see if I could link it to the theory. And I also quantified some of the aspects to see which themes were mostly mentioned. As Angeline already said, we recruited the patients from 2015 to 2018 in GGZ Centraal, which is a large regional mental health care hospital, and recruited them from 85% were in day clinical psychotherapy, and the others were on the waiting list for systems training or STEPS. And the control group was recruited via internet advertisements and social media, and among nursing interns. And the exclusion criteria were patients with organic mental disorders, mental retardation, psychotic disorders, people who were in acute crisis or who couldn't speak Dutch. And it comprises of 125 patients and 69 normal controls. And the diagnosis of personality disorder was determined by a SCID interview And within the PD group, the most prevalent PDs were the not other specified, of course, borderline and avoidant. As Angine already showed, it was a largely female population, and they were mainly young. And the first question was, could you describe a period in your life where you knew or felt with great certainty that your life was meaningful? The T0 is the before treatment, the T1 is after treatment. And what is interesting to see, of course, is that everybody said, well, loved ones are very important. And what you also see is that in the patient group, especially before treatment, people said, my life was, I had a period in my life where my life was meaningful. And also to have purpose was also very important, or to perform. And here you can see that before and after treatment, the never, less people say that it is never, and having a purpose. It's actually the same themes come up as in the control group. For the control group, one said the prospect of finishing my studies and the planning of a career and the challenges that will follow in accordance. And another said, not that I had a calling or something like that, but a lot of moments in which I'm just very happy with the people around me and with the things that occupy my life at the moment. Another said, I intensely enjoy the moments when we're on vacation as a family and we enjoy flying a kite on the beach or something similar. But those are the moments that make life meaningful for me. Or this especially funny person said, vacation, filling out surveys, going out with friends and parties. In the patient group, one person said, in my youth, when I took care of my mother, and after treatment, she said, at the end of my treatment at the ENC, which is the clinic, I think about that less often. I would also like to start to go to school. And before treatment, this person said, I do not know such a period. And after treatment, she said, the moment I quit the ENC, and the next day when I heard I had a job, especially meaningful. This patient said, 3 years ago, when my nephew was born, he hugs me often and misses me. I have to be there for him and have to make something of my life. And after treatment, she said, the knowledge that I'm worth it and that friends are really there for me and care about me. They surprised me with cute cards and balloons on my birthday last year. If you have experienced that life was meaningless, could you describe what it has to do with? Also, what is very interesting to see is that in the control group, some people said, actually a large group, somebody is...
Mais ça diminue.
Ah oui.
Quand même, hein.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can see.
The previous conference, I
Okay.
had to remove someone.
I think.
Oh no, it's okay.
I think everybody's muted again.
Yes, yeah. Is this the right image?
Let's see. Yeah, so it is interesting to see that a large group of the control group, they said like life always had meaning for me. And what was also interesting to see is that the control group, they said a lot of the time it had to do with puberty, identity, hormones, and that it would pass on after that period of time. And what is also interesting to see is that in the patient group, it had to do with negative feelings. What we already also saw from earlier, that negative feelings had correlation with lack of meaning. And what's also interesting to see is that all the groups said that it also had to do with a psychiatric disorder. So also the control group said that lack of meaning had to do with a psychiatric disorder. Mainly they mentioned depression. So even though it is the normal control group, they still experience at some point in their life a psychiatric disorder. And also all of them mentioned the experience of loss. So it's not that that there are differences in those groups. And the next question that we asked is, how did you overcome this? Which is nice for us to see is that the therapy is mentioned a lot in the patient group. So they also, the people themselves thought that the therapy also worked on their meaning. Also, the loved ones also in this question are mentioned quite frequently. Unfortunately, some of the patients did not overcome their lack of meaning. And what is also interesting is that a lot of people say like thinking differently. So, and that's also what we, of course, teach in therapy is how to change your thoughts, and that will help with also getting more meaning in life. One thing that we also thought was interesting is that hope was mentioned by the patients, and also animals were only mentioned by the patients. And that positive things in life was also mentioned by the control group. So for the control group, having positive things in life helped with their meaning in life. And in the first, at the first question here is fate is mentioned by all the groups, but in the first question, also only the patients mentioned the fate as a positive for meaning in life. And a lot of the patients also talked about the struggle to how they overcame this. So it's on the control group mostly said like, oh, it took some time. I had to get out of puberty, and then I regained my meaning again. While the patient group more spoke about the struggle they had to have to overcome it, or they're still struggling. This person at the control group said, I had a hard time when my mother just passed away, and I didn't feel like much. I was rather depressed. It passed after talking with a psychologist. During puberty, I had a period in which I didn't get the meaning of my life. It had to do with my hormones, my insecurities then, and my bad relationship with my parents. I grew out of it. And this person in the control group said, by being confronted at a young age with the death of a loved one, by finding happiness again in the small things of everyday life. This person in the patient group says, this happened often to me when I didn't have any view on further treatments. I came out of it when treatment was almost possible again. Sometimes it happened to me without any cause. I think this has, and after treatments, she said, I think this has to do with things I have experienced. And I was scared of life because of that. I came out of it by thinking I was scared of life and by thinking differently. And the patient group also said more existential meaning in life. So I think that one human life on its own makes little sense anyway. And certainly in comparison to the whole universe. The upside is that I see the lack of meaning in life as something, not as something negative. The fact that in a greater scheme of things, on a cosmic level, we do not really matter at all. That I do or did not have the feeling that I could make a difference. Lately, I shared this with my loved ones. I noticed that there is a little more hope, mainly my responsibility for my own happiness. Maybe make the best of it. So there's a little change in what she said about meaning in life. The before treatment, I hold on to the start of treatment, and I don't have the option of quitting. I don't think the life I'm now suffering is worth it. I'm disgusted by myself. And after treatment, this person said, by confirming my truth vision, mainly negative thoughts and beliefs, by consciously shifting my focus and challenging my thoughts by steps. And this person said, often enough, I lack a purpose in to live for, or I'm unable to act on my, I don't know this one, on my goals. In my conviction, there's always something to live for, however small. The idea that others have to cope with the choice of a loved one to commit suicide hurts me more than the current situation. And after treatment, this person said it was more than a year ago, and I can't even remember or imagine having had that thought. So the fourth question is, when it really comes down to it, what is most important in life? And it's nice to see that all the group said the loved ones. And also in this group, in the patient group, the animals are more mentioned by the patients than in the control group. And also the character traits are more mentioned by all groups. Which is interesting is that the animals were very important for the patient group before and after treatment. And the happiness of others was mentioned by the patient group before treatment, and after treatment was their own happiness. So that's also nice to see. This person in the control group says, my mother and boyfriend, of course. Living in the moment, enjoying every day on this planet with family and friends. Friends, having fun, but also school. So especially finding and keeping a good balance between these things. And this patient said, my boyfriend and family, not myself. And after treatment, she said, the people, animals, and the things that are closest to me. My family, pets, and valuable items are most important then. And this person says, animals are extremely important to me. They always live in the now and do not judge. It's a hold for me in the life to live in the now and to react from a balanced mindset. And after treatment, she said, being open-minded in life and to convey love for people, animals, and nature. And before treatment, he said, I can get a lot of support out of music. I play guitar and I sing. At the moment, this is the most important to me. And here also the loved ones come in. My parents, sister, and friends. Music, playing guitar and singing. And the last question is, what gave the most hold in life? Again, the loved ones are very important. And also what is interesting is that a lot of people named their character traits as something that gave hold to their lives. Again, the animals were named, but also things that we also use in sort of therapy is to the hobbies, the stability. I work in a FAC team, so you also work with those factors to add to the holding. At the control group, they said the people around me, but also my own willpower, Buddhism and friendships, my grandmother and mother. In the patient group, somebody said my rabbit, my parents, brothers and sisters trust. And after treatment, this person said the treatment at Zwaluw, which is the clinic, and the trust of my family. Before treatment, faith, hope, and love in order of importance. And after treatment, being loved unconditionally by loved ones, my optimism. Which I also find interesting to see is that if you ask what gave the most hold in life, that more people say something about religion. While if you ask them about meaning in life, they are tended not to talk about it. The hold in life, having a clear goal for the future, and actively make it happen. For example, studying, and after treatment, God and the trust of my loved ones. Before treatment, support from my mother, my own familiar surroundings where I'm safe and can relax. And after treatment, being able to handle my own emotion, learn to understand myself and to grow in this. A new home for myself, finally a firm foundation to build a new life on. Yeah, I don't know all the quotes from by heart. So this is also an interesting thing. This is a CHIME framework to see that actually all the things that the patients or the people said when they talked about meaning in life also appear here. So connectedness, hope and optimism, identity, meaning and empowerment. So this is also good to see that what we do really at work is actually also what people expect when they talk about meaning in life. So the conclusion, the three groups have many similarities in many aspects of meaning in life and are consistent with the theories of meaning in life and recovery-oriented treatment. Differences are that animals and fate are hardly mentioned by the control group at the meaningful periods of their lives. And the patient group is more likely to say that life is not meaningful, while a larger part of the control group considered life to be always meaningful. Yeah, loved ones are the main source of meaning in life, as well as the most important and the whole in life. And animals are mentioned by the patient group at various questions. So we ask ourselves if that is a substitute for reduced attachment to humans. Therapy contributes to the experience of meaning in life. And thinking differently is often mentioned by the control group. And we asked ourselves these skills that the control group probably also learned when they were younger, and the patient group did not. But is it when we learn that them in the therapy that they do this more often? There were also some research limitations. They answered on paper, so we didn't have the ability to ask follow-up questions. There was a 30% dropouts in the patient group due to quitting therapy, or some refused to participate in the follow-up questions. The control group consists of relatively many people working in healthcare and were relatively well educated, which is also what also Angeline already said, like in the patient group, probably some people had some delay in their education, so they might start up again and finish it after therapy. So we don't really know that if there's a difference. There's a difference now in education level, but is there also a difference in intelligence levels? We don't know. Yeah, only certain personality disorders qualified for these therapies. So there's also a selection in this. And there were many more women, relatively young. And we didn't know if they also had a different view after therapy, or did they have different experience because of the therapy, or in the year that they had the therapy. So this is what we didn't know. It would be nice for further research that there would also be other types of psychiatric disorders included and more males. And we're also interested about the animals that we found in the studies as a source of meaning of support. And for the practical recommendations, not only talk about meaning in life, but do something with it. Check with the patients about the loved ones. It's so important that also it should be see if we can also let the family participate in the therapy. Also about the things that give hold and stimulate those, so hobbies and living accommodations. Offer hope and provide clarity regarding the therapy. Improve stability and enhance skills and comprehensibility. And emphasize the positive character traits, which was mentioned by the patients.
Thank you, Pauline. Shall we look in the chat? You already checked the chat.
Yeah, so they had some problems with the movie, so.
Oh, okay, yes, yeah, but they recovered. Some of the others.
on a very practical side, I'm a psychiatrist.
Mhm.
I do have several examples where animals, cats or
Yeah.
dogs, are the only thing that keeps people alive.
Yes,
And
that's
they don't kill themselves because they still feel some responsibility for those animals. And I have several cases, and the most recent one, I got a message yesterday from a patient whom I should see next week, and she said, I'm not going to see you next week. I will place my cats, and I want to get my life. But it's the cats that still kind of keep her alive. I have several examples.
yes. That's also for us. We also discussed it, but it was also interesting to see that they actually mentioned it in the research,
Yeah.
because we also know that from experiences, if the rabbit dies, then there's a big crisis.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see that they actually mention it as a very important source, also of meaningfulness.
You asked how did you overcome this? It was one of the
Mhm.
questions, and the most important was therapy. I think, isn't it?
Yeah, depending on which group, yes. But therapy was a very important one, yes.
Do you know what in therapy are what helps? What therapy is a broad idea, I think, a broad concept.
Yeah.
But have you an idea what, or did you research?
No, we didn't research it, but it's an interesting question because it's I could